Hello everyone, I'm Kharri. In the following 10 minutes, I will be making the case for Xi Jinping being one of the 100 most influential people in 2021. This is my presentation, and my presentation consists of 4 parts. First of all, I will briefly explain why I chose him. Then I'll dig into how he influenced the world and why he deserves the title. Then the conclusion will be made and the Q&A session will follow. Okay, so the first question is, who is he? Okay, so in Taiwan, his fate is probably the most infamous and notorious one, right? Everybody hates him. And in many Western countries' eyes, he is a dictator. He's a strong man. But in local people's eyes, in Chinese people's eyes, he is a hero. He is a savior. He fights for them against all the challenges they have faced during these years, right? But in his enemies' eyes, like Li Keqiang, he is just a politician who cannot resist the temptation of power. So who is he? The answer to this question varies from different point of views. Okay, so why did I choose him as my pick? So the biggest reason is that the country under his control is one of the most powerful ones in the world. China takes second place in the strong categories. Okay, the economic power is measured by GDP, and the military force is measured by the quality and the quantity of the weapon possessed by the nation. And the comprehensive national power is measured by both military force and economic power, plus technology and human resources, and so on. So here comes another critical question must be asked is, why did I choose the overall #1 country in the world, the US? Why did I choose the President Biden as my pick? Okay, so that question leads us to my second part of the presentation. And my answer will consist of 3 parts. Okay, first, Xi Jinping is the head of the Communist Party of China, which is the largest and the most critical organization in the country. And he also controls the government. He is the Chinese president. And most importantly, he controls the military forces. In China, it is called the Trinity. In Chinese, 三位一体. And let's just stop here for a second. The description above can fit in many democratic countries' leaders, right? For example, our president Tsai Ing-wen, she is also the head of our largest party in the country, and she is also the president. She is also the leader of our government, and she also controls the military forces, army, navy, and air force. But here comes a major difference between these democratic leaders around the world and Xi Jinping. That is, no one person or party can threaten his throne. Okay, so the second part is, let's take a look at these 6 world leaders in the slide. Okay, we got Japan, we got Britain, we got the US, we got Germany, we got France and Russia. Okay, first of all, Japan, Britain, France, and Germany are no match against China in both economic and military power. And the Russian military maybe can be compared with the Chinese, but again, there's no comparison in the economic power. So what about America? What about the US? And the US is ranked higher in all these categories, right? So President Biden should be my pick. But let's just take a look at the presidency in the US. The president himself is constrained by 3 things. First thing is he's constrained by the constitution and the laws. He needs to follow the rules, right? And or he will face some legal problems. And the second is he needs to worry about the voters. He needs to consider what the consequences are if he does something that voters don't like. And the third thing is that the legislators, we know the House and the Senate can pass the laws against him. So compared with Xi Jinping, who is limited to literally nothing but his own lifespan, President Biden's power is not as strong as we thought before, right? And we can also observe this from the fact that when we are talking about the most influential people, politicians in China, we only mention Xi Jinping's name. But in America, we know Barack Obama, we know Donald Trump, and we think they are influential to the American politics, even though they are not the president anymore, right? But in China, we know only one person's name that matters. It's Xi Jinping. Okay. So my third part of the answer will be this. His throne is defended by these four things. The control of public opinion makes the spread of the critics illegal and limited. Okay, so and the decision-making system makes sure that he is the one who makes the final call for every important affair, whether it's economic, whether it's military, he is the one to make the final call. He also controls the machinery of state violence. In Chinese, it's called 国家暴力机器, including police force and military force, which provides him with the power to quell a riot if there is any, and make sure there's no one else can use it against him. And the last thing is the political structure of China. This makes sure that no one else in the party, in the Communist Party, can obtain enough power to take him down before he notices and responds. So under this level of autocracy, you can basically do nothing if you want to take him down. So these four things make the most unbreakable throne in the world. And here is this slides again. Okay, so China is using its economic and military power to build out influences around the world. And by donation, by loaning, by providing human resources, and many mid-Asia and African countries are leaning toward China because of this. But what or how can China profit off from this? First thing is China can have access to the ports, the railroads, the highways, the reservoirs, or even the military facilities built by using China's money. But there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? We all know that. So China has been condemned by many for trapping these countries who receive support from China into a so-called debt trap situation. In Chinese, it's called 债务危机, which means that these countries cannot repay the loans and interest because they are too high. And due to this, they have to give up years of rights of operations of these constructions, and eventually makes them harder to repay the loans and interest because they cannot use these facilities to generate revenue, right? And also, China can have access to the natural resources such as natural gas, crude oil, metal, which makes China a difficult target to be taken down by international sanctions. We know what these countries did to Russia, right? It's a great impact on the economic. And the next thing is China, by concluding treaties with some small countries, now China can set its army in those countries which are at some strategic important locations, right? So the one of the most famous example of China using these powers to build our influences is uh, the so-called One Belt and Road, in Chinese 一带一路. I believe that most of you have heard that. Okay, so that leads us to the conclusion. So let's do a little recap first. Okay, so he is the one and only leader of the second most powerful country in the world, and he is under no supervision, and his throne is nearly unbreakable. And don't forget, he is determined to do whatever needs to be done for his country and his own welfare, which makes him not only influential but very dangerous. So here's my personal reflection during this text is that I kept asking myself, what is the definition of influential? It's not the kindest, it's not the strongest, it's who has the ability to change. So I think with the inalienable and very limited power, Xi Jinping is the one who has the most ability to change the world. My presentation will end here, and now thank you for listening, and all questions will be welcome. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Yeah, I think so. Kharri has made a very persuasive case in arguing that President Xi is maybe now the most influential political leader. So again, feel free if you have any questions or comments.
Okay, please.
I think my personal feeling is a little bit complicated. So like you say, the most influential people is the ability to change the world. So, how did you perceive this kind of power to change? Like because how to say can you understand my question or no?
Yeah, I will try my best to answer.
Okay, thank you.
Like the word influential is neutral, right? It's not about bad or good. It's about, like I said, has the most ability to change. So President Biden is the most powerful person in the world, but he is constrained by many things, right? So compared with President Xi, who is limited to nothing, I think President Xi has the most ability to change. But I'm not saying he will do good for the world, but he can make great impact on every international affairs, right? So whether it's good or bad, yes.
Okay, so like another question is like, how would you think that Xi Jinping can in what aspect to change the world? You can just give an example.
Okay, like we don't know that North Korea possessed the nuke weapons, right? And actually, the U.S. is is counting on China to negotiate with North Korea, because we all know that North Korea has a close relationship with China. So in these kind of talks, that the U.S., the most powerful country in the world, has also have to count on China to to negotiate with North Korea. Yes, I
Okay.
hope this answer your question. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Emily, for the question. Yeah, I think it's very important. I think it's like what Kari told us in the conclusion. I think so. Influence the term is quite neutral, right? So it's the ability to initiate change. Of course, this can be change for better or change for worse. So I think it's really up to President Xi. All right, good. So can I have another question or comment?
I would like to just make a comment.
Yes.
I like the part you use, the definition of yourself about the influential, and I think it kind of reverse my original thought. And thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Linda, for sharing with us what you thought about the presentation. So, do you have another question or comment? Feel free to speak.
This is Jojo,
Yes.
and I want to ask about what do you think about the impact of one Belt and One Road?
Okay. So first of all, to these countries who which need support to build these constructions, I think it's quite good. But I have also mentioned the problems arise from this, right? So I think the way China uses as a strategic weapons is not quite good for this country. But what China has done for these countries are good for people. But I think it's not good for the country itself themselves. Yes, like they build tons of roads and railroads like reservoirs. So I think it benefits the people, but not the country. I hope this answers your questions.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank
Jojo.
you.
Yeah, I think it's also a relevant question. Yeah, especially if you look at the economic situation in Sri Lanka. Yeah, I think that we will know. Yeah, so what's the price they have to pay? Very good.
Yes.
Okay. If there are no further questions,
I have a question.
yes, Austin.
This is Austin.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think? What the future do you think between China and us?
Oh,
What do you think
think?
will be?
Um,
And also, and another question is, uh, what policy will you make if you are the president, like about the
uh,
situation
you
between?
mean if I was the president of the Republic of China,
Yes,
what
yes,
about?
yes.
So, I will ask. I will answer the first question. So I think with the I don't know if you are familiar with the term Thucydides trap. I think it's called 来修习底德陷阱. It's a term that describes that two powerful countries that like the U.S. and the China. So with China's growing power, I think in the near future, like 20 years or 30 years, they will try. China will try to obtain its goals to make a union like Taiwan and China, right? So I think they will obtain enough power to do so in like 20 or 30 years, and because the growing economic and the military power, and because we all know that during these years we have been dependent more on China in economic uh, in like GDP. So and his military power, especially navy, he has now he had many ships can to surround us. So I think America in 20 years maybe they have not they don't have the enough power to stop China from doing this. And if I was the president of our country, Republic of China, what will I do? I think I will try to find a balance between a close relationship with the PROC and the US, because I think that's where we can benefit the most. Like the US will not pleased to see we are too close to the China, right? To China, right? And China will also stop us from being too close to the US. So if we can find a balance, maybe we can benefit from this. I hope this answers your questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think it's also a very good question. Yeah, I think and Kari also offer a very detailed answer. So thank you very much. Yeah, I think overall, I think again, this was also an excellent presentation. I also appreciate how you try to again build very clear transitions among all the parts in the presentation. And I think again, so the design of the slides also matches the content of your presentation really well. I guess you choose color red for the specific reason.
Yes.
All right, so thank you very much. So let's give Kari a big hand for his excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. So now we're going to move on to our fourth presenter.